single NBA team and see if I agree, disagree, and see if you agree or disagree. Of course, I want you guys in the comments. Let me know on some that you agree with and some of that you disagree with, reasons why you agree or disagree. Maybe tell me your NBA GOAT, maybe tell me your favorite team's GOAT. Let me know anything like that down below in the comments, and also like the video, of course. Make sure you guys press the thumbs up button. Liking the video is the best thing that you guys can possibly do for the channel. Just pressing the like button would mean the world to me. So let's get started. Alrighty, here we are, Bleacher Report with every NBA team's greatest player of all time. Just came out like a week or so ago. Let's see what they have in store for us. We are stores, of course. Sorry, I'm chewing gum. It's hard for me to talk. We, of course, are going to be talking, doing these, yapping, whispering these in alphabetical order. First one's up are the Atlanta Hawks. Now their apparent GOAT, their greatest player of all time, is Bob Pettit. Bob Pettit here, it also lists his accolades. He's a champion, 2-time MVP, 11-time All-NBA team member, played with the Hawks for 11 seasons, and currently sits on their number 38 ranking for their all-time listing of players. That's kind of cool. They have a lot of their accolades when talking about these guys, and honestly, that's a pretty good one. The Atlanta Hawks haven't really had anyone, in my opinion, uber talented in their franchise. You know, they don't have, a Michael Jordan. I'm sorry, I'm spoiling that one, but they don't have like a Michael Jordan-esque type of dominant player. They've had a lot of greats like, of course, Bob Pettit, Dominique Mutombo, a lot of really good players in their careers who've kind of crossed paths in Atlanta. Bob Pettit, though, I think probably means the most to their franchise, especially being an NBA champion and a 2-time MVP guy. That's pretty hard to pass up on. So Bob Pettit, Atlanta Hawks, don't really have much to say unless you want to argue Dominique. Number 2, or I guess the second team, Boston Celtics, with the Boston Celtics' greatest player of all time being Bill Russell. Ooh, okay, yes, I agree that Bill Russell is the greatest player in that team's history. Is he the best? Is he the most talented? No. I will definitely say Larry Bird, in my opinion, is the best player in that team's history. I think he has sort of the stature, the back-to-back-to-back MVPs and the championships on one of the greatest teams of all time back in the 80s with that squad with Kevin McHale and blah, blah, blah. That's a good argument, but I think when you mean greatness, it's all of that and more. What did they mean to the franchise, the game? And Bill Russell's one of the most impactful players in sports culture history, in my opinion, so it's hard to pass up on Mr. Bill Russell. Of course, I think it is Bill Russell. I think he's the greatest. I think he means the most to that franchise and even to the game of basketball, but Larry Bird, in my opinion, is a conversation to be had. But Bill Russell, I think with his 11 championships and everything else, definitely has it on him. Next up, we have the Brooklyn Nets with Jason Kidd. Interesting. Jason Kidd was an All-NBA team member 3 times, 5-time All-Star, 2-time assist leader in the NBA. Spent 7 years with the the Nets. This one is very intriguing. Jason Kidd was very good with those Nets teams. He even helped to take that team to the NBA Finals one time, which is crazy to think about. But I think I'm going to put the name of Brook Lopez into this conversation. I think Brook Lopez, still maybe has the most points in that team's franchise history. He really kind of carried that team in a very, very, very rough part of their New Jersey Nets days, right before they kind of made that transition into going over to Brooklyn. In my opinion, I'm going to say Brook Lopez. Maybe you can argue that with me. I think Jason Kidd is an amazing player. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer, all-time great. But if we're talking about how great a player was for their franchise, Brook Lopez was carrying that New Jersey Nets team while they were dog duty. I think he deserves at least a name thrown in the hat there. Another team that's kind of yikes. We have the Charlotte Hornets. And they have Alonzo Mourning for their team's GOAT. And I'm not laughing at Alonzo Mourning, great NBA player. But they have Alonzo Mourning listed here. While Alonzo Mourning is a two-time All-Star and only played 3 years with the Charlotte Hornets. Yes, a guy who has only been with the team for 3 years, they have listed as the GOAT of their franchise. That is insane. I'm going to throw the name of Kemba Walker out there, and I think it's a pretty obvious one. I think Kemba really helped that team sort of transition into that really rough part of being the Charlotte Bobcats, which, my God, one of the worst eras for a team in probably the history of the basketball sport. I mean, that team was, I think, the losingest team in the history of the NBA. It was that bad. And I think Kemba Walker kind of dragged that team from them to now being a sort of recognizable franchise. I love Alonzo Mourning. You could argue Alonzo Mourning is a more talented player, but when it comes to the greatness of the team, I think I'd put Kemba up there. Chicago Bulls. We have Michael Jordan. Oh my God, no way. Michael Jordan, 6-time champion, 6-time Finals MVP, 11-time All-NBA team member, 12-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, led the league in scoring 10 times, 13 years with the Chicago Bulls, blah, 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 blah. Yes, we know who MJ is. Of course, he is the greatest Chicago Bull. Who else could you put in that category? I don't know, I guess Scottie Pippen. Maybe if Derrick Rose never got hurt. Who knows? Who knows what could have happened? I think he's not going to be on the level of Michael Jordan, but definitely would have had a good career. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers with LeBron James. LeBron James, in his time with Cleveland, was an NBA champion, 2-time MVP guy, 10-time All-Star, 2-time All-Defense, led the league in scoring once, spent 11 years in total with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah, that's really good. Having Cleveland be the world champions of basketball is mind-blowing, and it took LeBron James for that to happen. So, yeah, even that, man, that 2016 NBA championship, in my opinion, is one of the greatest in sports history. The 3-1 comeback is insanity. I think it's arguably the greatest team of all time. Yeah. He's definitely the best in that team's history, and he's arguably the best in another twice. We have the Dallas Mavericks with Dirk Nowitzki. That's a no-brainer. I don't even want to talk about this. Dirk is the greatest Dallas Maverick player ever. What could have been with Luka? And I guess they now have Cooper Flagg, who people are saying is a generational talent. Gotta see what happens with him. We have Nikola Jokic with the Denver Nuggets, also kind of a no-doubt one. Carmelo is amazing, and unless you want to throw in David Thompson in there, I don't know. Nikola Jokic is already one of the greatest players, definitely one of the greatest centers of all time, and definitely up there with the all-time greats already. We have the Detroit Pistons with Isaiah Thomas, also one you don't really need to argue. One of the greatest players of his generation, 2-time champion, a Finals MVP, 12-time All-Star, led the league in assists 1 year, 13 years with the Pistons. That is great. Put some respect on Isaiah Thomas's name. At number 10, we have Steph Curry with the Golden State Warriors. Are we arguing Wilt Chamberlain? I know a lot of people recently have been glazing Wilt Chamberlain. I've seen people kind of list their top 10 player listings, and bro, I've seen Wilt Chamberlain top 5 all time. It's kind of crazy. Are you guys also on that boat then of him being the greatest Warrior? I don't know. Is Wilt Chamberlain a greater player than Steph Curry? That's a big argument. I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say Steph. I love Steph. I think Steph is the greatest Golden State Warrior for sure. Houston Rockets with Hakeem Olajuwon, has sort of, he's always mentioned whenever people are like, oh my god, he has footwork like Hakeem, the Hakeem dream, the dream shake, any post move anyone does. Hakeem is always mentioned. His stamp on the NBA is so impactful. He's, of course, a goat for that franchise. Next up we have is Reggie Miller for the Indiana Pacers. Now, get this. Reggie Miller's accolades. 18 years he played for the Indiana Pacers. 5-time All-Star. 3-time All-NBA team member. Guys, in my opinion, I really think if Tyrese Halliburton has another year or two of the years that he had like last season, he could very much eclipse this Reggie Miller guy very quickly. Of course, the kind of storyline of Reggie Miller is what really makes him that impactful. You know, him playing for the franchise, retiring with the franchise, being a coach for the franchise, kind of always being around the team, I think really means a lot, and I think that is what, of course, makes him the GOAT. But man, if Tyrese Halliburton has a couple more years of just some crazy success, and also does have a long tenure there, I think he's going to for sure be the GOAT of that team. Sooner rather than later. You could definitely argue that Paul George could also be in that conversation if we're talking just basketball talent-wise, but it's greatness, and Reggie Miller's pretty great. For the LA Clippers, you have Chris Paul. Chris Paul for the LA Clippers. Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure. Chris Paul, 5-time All-NBA team member, 5-time All-Star, led the league in steals 3 times, only played 6 years though with the Clippers, adding another year or 2 on there because he is returning to that team next season, which is really exciting. Yeah, I think he probably has meant a lot to that team. I know, like Elton Brand, you could maybe put into that category. Maybe some of the older Clippers that I'm blanking on right now. Was World Be Free a Clipper? I don't remember. Blake Griffin. I think Blake Griffin was my favorite Clipper, but if we're talking greatness, yeah, Chris Paul fits that because Chris Paul's also just a great player in himself. Yeah. We also have the LA Lakers with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar listed as the greatest Laker. No, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, his tenure as a Laker was not as good as everyone thinks it is. It's good, but not the greatest player in the franchise's history. Don't even get there. 5-time champion, 3-time finals, and 3-time MVP, and then finals MVP, All-NBA team member, 13-time All-Star, played with the Lakers 14 seasons. That's kind of insane. Now, yes, of course, a lot of those tenures as a Laker were not that majestic. Definitely carried by how good that squad was built, and also, of course, having Magic Johnson helped out a lot too. Definitely extended his career, definitely made him more of an impactful player as well. Kobe Bryant is the greatest Laker of all time. Magic Johnson himself even said, Kobe is the GOAT. End of conversation. I think Kobe and his impact on the game and how people view Kobe also just does it also. People argue that Kobe Bryant is the greatest player of all time. People argue that Kobe is better than Michael Jordan. His impact on people, the culture of the game, is astonishing. And he also has the accolades and the Mamba mentality to back it up as well. Kobe is the greatest. Kobe is the greatest. He means the most, bar none. Bar none. Maybe you could argue Magic, but definitely Kobe. Memphis Grizzlies with Pau Gasol. I'll give you Pau Gasol. Memphis is kind of a rough team also when you're thinking about the greatest players in their history, even Marc Gasol. You could argue as well, you want a defensive player of the year there. The Miami Heat with D Wade. 3-time champion, finals MVP, 8-time All-NBA, led the league in scoring once, played 16 years with the Miami Heat. We do not talk about yes, Dwayne Wade is the greatest, I mean, prime LeBron James also played at Miami, and he is better than D Wade. I think LeBron is the best player to ever play for Miami, but as for greatest, I'll give it to D Wade. He definitely means the most. He means the most. But LeBron carried that Heatles run, and I think he is the best player to ever play in Miami. With the Milwaukee Bucks, you have Giannis Antetokounmpo. A champion, an MVP, a Finals MVP, a D-boy as well. You know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar also played for the Milwaukee Bucks, and he actually played for them in the prime of his career. Man, do you put Kareem there? I don't know. I think it could maybe be recent biased or something like that. Oh, that's really tough. Man, I love Kareem. I might say Kareem. I also love Giannis. I think either answer to me. You could say it and I wouldn't care. But, man, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is like a top 3 player all time. And in the prime of his career, he played it in Milwaukee. So, I love Giannis, and maybe he does mean the most to the franchise. If you're a big Bucks fan, you can let me know in the comments. I think I might actually say Kareem there. Minnesota Timberwolves, you have Kevin Garnett. Yes. Anthony Edwards, though. I think he could get there. Oh, God. The New Orleans Pelicans. They have Anthony Davis. Wow. That is interesting. I think you can definitely argue Chris Paul again for this one, which I think would actually make Chris Paul the first player on the list with 2 names, which is kind of impressive. You can argue LeBron with Cleveland and Miami, but Chris Paul with the Clippers in the Pelicans / Hornets. I think prime Chris Paul. Oh man, but Anthony Davis was wild on the Pelicans team, and if they just would have built that team a little bit better, a little bit deeper, that team could have been really special. But who wants to stay in New Orleans, right? No, I'm kidding, but interesting. I think Chris Paul's a great name. Anthony Davis, as just a player talent, is pretty hard to come by. The Knicks, you have Patrick Ewing, Rookie of the Year, All-NBA 11 times. I'm sorry, All-Star 11 times, All-NBA 7. He did go to the NBA Finals once with the Knicks. That was pretty cool. Man, in my opinion, I think if Jalen Brunson just plays the rest of his NBA career as a New York Knick, I think he will be the greatest Knick of all time. And I think people in New York, maybe I just don't know, but I've been to a Knick game, I've been to New York, they love Jalen Brunson. And maybe some people think he's the greatest Knick already, I don't know, but Patrick Ewing is definitely going to be on the list for another handful of years. If Brunson can take their team to the finals, you will be replaced. We have the Oklahoma City Thunder with Kevin Durant. I think it's Russell Westbrook. I think, of course, Kevin Durant's departure from OKC and kind of the way he's kind of talked about it in the history since it's happened. I know if I was a fan, I would not be a big fan of that. I think Russell Westbrook, for what he did for that franchise and kind of going all out on them until the very end, until he kind of had to leave to help the team. Yeah, I think that is what really helped the squad get to where it was now, which is, of course, an NBA champion. I love Kevin Durant and what he did for that franchise. He won an MVP there, was the best player on that franchise for a long time, and is obviously, of course, a better player than Russell Westbrook. But in my opinion, and I'm not a Thunder fan, obviously, I think he means more to the franchise and its history and the culture of it. So I'm going to say Russell Westbrook. Orlando Magic with Dwight Howard. I will agree with that. I think Shaq is the only one you could argue with this, but what Dwight did for that franchise for as many years as he was, definitely the best player at his position, led the team to an NBA Finals. Also really means a lot. And I think Dwight Howard has become a very underrated player in the league's history. Dude is a defensive monster. kind of reinvented the sort of small ball five. People forget Dwight Howard's only like, what, 5'10 at best, maybe 5'9. Being a sort of rim-running, athletic, smaller guy, especially in that era of 7-foot plus guys running around the court. I think he kind of helped out the transition of the NBA to what we know today. For the Philadelphia 76ers, we have Dr. J, NBA champion, MVP, 11-time All-Star. That's a good one. I think Allen Iverson, you could argue. Moses Malone is another name I will throw into that basket as well. I think you can kind of argue either one between Julius Erving or Moses Malone. You were talking culture. Of course, everyone loves Allen Iverson, so I think either one of those ones are good. Phoenix Suns, you have Steve Nash, absolutely 2-time MVP, 5-time All-NBA team member, led the league in assists 5 times, and was with the team for 10 seasons. Of course, Steve Nash, of course. I think Devin Booker really wants to be on the listing now. Next up we have the Portland Trail Blazers. And they have Clyde Drexler listed as their team's GOAT, and I have given my opinion on this topic many times. I think a lot of people in my Monday night and Thursday night, Monday and Thursday ASMR live streams, which, by the way, if you guys don't know, I do live streams on this page right now, every Monday and Thursday. They ask me that question a lot, and I always say it's Damian Lillard. Now, talent-wise, you could argue, and of course, Clyde Drexler went to the finals twice with their team, so of course it has to be Clyde Drexler. As we've been talking and yapping this entire little whispered ramble, greatness doesn't always come with accolades. It's what they mean to the franchise. And Clyde Drexler hates the Blazers. Clyde Drexler isn't really a Blazer. He has even referred himself as more of a Houston Rocket than he has ever been a Portland Trail Blazer. He won a championship with Houston. He went to college in Houston. He is a Houston guy. Doesn't really mess with Portland. I can't even remember the last time he even went to a Blazer event. It was always Bill Walton. Bill Walton, I will put his name in this basket. Bill Walton always, well, not always, but definitely in recent history, kind of he became more of a Blazer fan and came around a lot more and sort of helped mend that relationship. And you don't need to do that with Dame, because Dame loves Portland. He helped put Portland on the map. He is loved and embraced in the city. He has done so much for the community. And not only that, he's a damn good basketball player, a top 75 player all time, and took a very Portland Trail Blazers team to a Western Conference Finals and had to lose against the best team in this entire generation multiple times, the Golden State Warriors. It's Damian Lillard, hands down. You can argue it if you want, you'll just be wrong. We have Oscar Robertson for the Sacramento Kings. I couldn't tell you another name. For the San Antonio Spurs, you have Tim Duncan. Duh. 5-time champion, 2-time MVP, 3-time Finals MVP, All NBA 15 times. 15 years this guy was a top 3 player in his position. My good God, that is just an insane feat. He only played 19 years, but that is insane. That is insane. For the Toronto Raptors, you have Vince Carter. Yikes, that's rough. Vince Carter is a 6-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA team member, and only played 7 years with the Toronto Raptors, and he's listed as the GOAT. Toronto, kind of like Memphis and kind of like these other teams, kind of rougher when you're thinking about the greatest in their team's history. They don't really have a really deep-rooted history with a bunch of NBA legends, and I mean, if Vince Carter is your team's GOAT, that's pretty rough. I think Vince is a great talent, but I mean, I think Kawhi Leonard, it's Kawhi Leonard, right? in that one season, it's one of the greatest, like, feats in NBA history, taking a team in Canada and winning a championship in their first season. And the way he did it, man, I don't care. I think I'm going to put Kawhi Leonard already as that team's greatest player. That might be kind of crazy, though. We have the Utah Jazz with, he who will not be named, John Stockton. I don't know. They need to get someone else on the list ASAP. We have the Washington Wizards with Elvin Hayes. Elvin Hayes. Whoa, Elvin Hayes. Won an NBA championship. 8-time All-Star. 6-time All-NBA. Sure, why not? I think Wes Unseld would be the only other name I could possibly think about. But really, for the Wizards, they also need to get some guys in there. I think Alex Sarr, maybe nowadays, could be that next guy. I have no idea. That team is also kind of rough when you think about that kind of stuff. Some of these were good, some of these were unarguable, and some of these were really bad. I think I gave my opinions good enough, but I really want to know down in the comments who you guys think is the greatest player for your favorite team, for a team. What was the craziest answer on here? Was it Moses Malone? Was it Anthony Davis? Let me know in the comments what one was the craziest pick. And maybe if we, disagreed on one, you can let me know down in the comments as well. Also, please leave a like on tonight's video. It would really help me out a lot. And yeah, I have a couple other of sports NBA whisper rambles up my sleeve, so there will be some coming along the way very, very, very soon. And thank you guys for watching. I love ya. Love ya, love ya, love ya. And I'll see you again very, 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 very soon, right?